was, like pandal type of thing. So everything looked so different
Mm.
there.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. I don't know how people manage to, see their Guru Maharaj in that condition, their body. Just
Yeah. Let's start.
okay.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jaya
Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura
Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya
Jaya
Jaya Sri Chaitanya
Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jaya
Dvaita Chandra
Jaya
Jaya Gaura Bhakta.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavrind ki jai Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Madhya Leela chapter 5, the activities of Sakshi Gopal. So we were reading about the conversation between the two Brahmanas, uh, the young Brahmana Chota Vipra and the older Brahmana Bada Vipra, right? Bodo Vipra. So the older Brahmana wanted to give his daughter in marriage to the young Brahmana, and the young Brahmana said, no, no, it's not possible, uh, because you are, you know, our statuses don't match. You are wealthier, much, you're a very, you know, from an aristocratic family, a well-known person, a wealthy, very learned person, and I'm completely an unknown, not even having decent education. He's a Brahmana, but you know, he's very poor, so on and so forth. So this is not going to work out. But the Brahmana insisted, no, no, don't doubt me. I am going to give you. And then the young Brahmana said, but you may want to give, but you have a big family circle, a circle of friends and relatives. You cannot just take the decision on your own. Um, and the proof for this is Bhishmaka, King Bhishmaka, the father of Rukmini. He wanted to marry Rukmini to Krishna, but his son opposed, so finally he could not do that. He had to arrange the wedding with Shishupal. So similarly, you may want to give your daughter to me, but your family members may not approve of this. And it is understandable why they would not approve, because I don't have any qualification to become your son-in-law. Then uh, the Brahmana, older Brahmana said, my daughter is my property. I can give my property in charity wherever I like. And don't doubt this. I am going to give you my daughter. I have already made this decision. So when uh, the young Brahmana saw that the older Brahmana is determined, then he said that if you have actually decided like this, then please come and say the same thing in front of the deity, Gopal. Why? A Brahmana is truthful. So when a Brahmana says something, it must happen because he's truthful. His words will never go, or they should not become false. See, it's a in this connection I'm remembering, in Mahabharata, the same episode that we read in Srimad Bhagavatam about Parikshit Maharaj getting cursed by Shringi. We read about this in Mahabharata also, but there is a variation in Mahabharata. And then sometimes we may think, because earlier I used to hear, and maybe I was even thinking like we should simply follow what is said in Srimad Bhagavatam. The others we don't know. Maybe people have concocted or something like that. Because I heard some things like that. That you cannot really, because people, when it is passed down, people have messed up, right? They went and they added their own things in and out, so you cannot. But Srimad Bhagavatam translation directly coming from Srila Prabhupada, so we can accept it. Of course, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. But here is how you look at it. Mahabharata is also written by Srila Vyasdev. Written means composed. These are all not written like, people write novels. It's not like that. Mahabharata is also composed by Srila Vyasdev. Srimad Bhagavatam is also composed by Srila Vyasdev. No doubt, Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate. It is the highest pramana. And that was given to us in his maturity. That is said in Bhagavatam itself. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parairishwaraha. This is written by the Mahamuni Vyasdev, right? And it was given in his maturity. Srila Prabhupada gives that translation. So this was the final work. There's nothing else to be given after that. This is the highest he has given, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, of course, so anything in Mahabharata, you look at it in the light of Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever you read in Mahabharata, you have to look at it in the light of Srimad Bhagavatam. Does it mean that anything else which is there in Mahabharata is false? That's the point. Does it mean that it is false? It's not false. That becomes again an offense. Fourth offense to the holy name. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. Vedic literatures. Mahabharata is also Vedic literature or literature. Mahabharata is Panchama Veda. Puranas, Itihasas, right? They are Panchama Veda. They are also Veda. So then, how you will say that something which is said in Mahabharata is false? You cannot say that it is false. So you have to. So our acharyas, they've done all the work for us. We just need to understand properly through their writings, through their commentaries. So anyway, uh, so the thing is, in Mahabharata, what is the goal in Mahabharata? Who was Mahabharata written for? It was written for Stri, Shudra, Dvija Bandhus. Those who are not very advanced, those who are not able to take to the philosophy directly. but they like to hear stories and they like, all these things. So that's why Mahabharata is written. But the goal is still the same. The goal is to bring them gradually to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is nicely kept inside Mahabharata. But this Mahabharata is also Vedic literature. So there cannot be anything which is not real or which is false in Mahabharata. That has to be always kept in mind. So the focus of the different histories or stories that you find in Mahabharata is to emphasize on dharma, what is the right thing to do and what is not. And dharma, as we saw in Bhagavad Gita, is in various levels. Dharma can be on the level of body, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya duties on the level of body. It can be on the level of soul, right? I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. And of course, on the level of a devotee. But here in Mahabharata, you will see dharma on the level of body also, especially it's meant for who? The lowest, right? Stri, Shudra, Dvijabandhus, to raise their standard. So you will see, whereas in Srimad Bhagavatam, the histories, the stories that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is the focus there? The focus is bringing us to pure devotional service. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, any kaitava dharma, cheating religion is kicked out. Cheating religion means if somebody is offering you, you can go to heaven by doing this. That's called a cheating religion. Even if somebody is offering you liberation, that is also a cheating religion. Real religion is only that religion which is giving you bhakti, prema, Krishna prema. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam's focus is always very clear. It is giving you, so everything that is said in Srimad Bhagavatam is with that uh, goal, bringing us to pure devotional service. But in Mahabharata, you will find dharma, stressing on dharma. Because when you follow dharma, what will happen? By following your dharma, you will come to the mode of goodness. By coming to the mode of goodness, then so this is a gradual process, gradually elevating your consciousness. So with that, and then, but it is still the same Mahabharata. How you can have the same pastime, Parikshit Maharaj getting cursed by Shringi, but two different stories are given. That's what I'm trying to get to. Two different stories. Why two? There are hundreds and thousands of versions of the same story. Interesting, huh? So, hundreds and thousands of versions of the same story you can have. And each one from different kalpas. Kalpa is what? A day of Lord Brahma. In one day of Lord Brahma, there are uh, so Kalpa is a day of Lord Brahma, and there are 30 days in his 1 month, and there are 12 months in his 1 year, and he lives for 100 years. So some kalpas are in the mode of goodness, some kalpas are in passion, some kalpas are in ignorance. That means the people that come in that kalpa, they are prominently in the mode of goodness. And in other kalpas, the people are prominently in the mode of people means under the influence of that time. So such people are attracted. Those people who are in the mode of goodness, they are attracted during those kalpas. And at other times, those people who are in passion are attracted. And in some other kalpas, those who are in ignorance are attracted. So depending on the audience, just like Mahabharata, I told you, is for Stri, Shudra, Dvija, Bandhu. Dvija Bandhu means who are not Dvijas. They are born and are related to the Dvijas. They are maybe children of Dvijas, but they don't have the qualification of Dvija. Like that. So Mahabharata is written for them. Then with that in mind, it's given, the Shastra is given to them to elevate them from their consciousness. So Lord Brahma's kalpas, you have Satvika kalpas, Rajasika kalpa, Tamasic kalpas. So in Satvika kalpas, because the people are primarily in the mode of goodness, then there you will see in Puranas, So Puranas are there all the time. Puranas are always there. They are eternal. Vedas are eternal. Mahabharata is eternal. Yes, Mahabharata is also eternal. But in Satvika Kalpas, worship of Lord Vishnu is emphasized because they are in the mode of goodness. The people are in the mode of goodness. So there you will see those Puranas which are like Vishnu Purana, for example. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And people will accept that and then they will be advancing. But at the same time, there are totally 18 Puranas, right? So there are 6 Puranas in goodness, 6 in passion, 6 in ignorance. And those kalpas where passion is primarily prominent, the mode of passion is prominent, or the people are primarily in the mode of passion. There, if you bring the Satvika Puranas, then people won't be interested. Why? Because they're in the mode of passion, right? Someone who is in the mode of passion, if you try to preach to them about mode of goodness, they won't be interested. They want some results, right? So something which is catering to their needs you have to give. So then you tell them you worship uh, you know Lord Brahma, and you worship Agni, you worship the Pitra Devatas, and you'll get this result and that result, then they'll be happy. So therefore those Puranas are also there that are speaking about so then when so those Puranas will show Lord Shiva as the supreme. So during those kalpas, Lord Shiva is shown as the Supreme Lord. And everyone starts worshipping Lord Shiva as the Supreme Lord. Is this wrong? No, it's not wrong because Lord Shiva is also Guna Avatar. Nothing is separate from the Supreme Lord. Especially the Guna Avatars. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, they are Guna Avatars. They are avatars of the Supreme Lord. His potency is there. So it's not wrong. It's like Achintya, right? Simultaneously one and different. So we take the aspect of being one. So that's how we have the Rajasika and Tamasika Puranas, which are glorifying. In Tamasika Purana, Lord Shiva is shown as the Supreme Lord. So that, but in other kalpa, it doesn't mean that in one kalpa, everyone, 100%, everyone is in the mode of goodness. Primarily, mostly, but there will still be people, some people who are in passion, some people who are in ignorance will also be there. So those people, even in the Satvika Kalpas, they will look for those Tamasic Puranas, so on and so forth. But the point was, uh, why in some Puranas you will see Lord, like Shiva Purana, shows, even in Shiva Purana, it doesn't mean that it is only showing Lord Shiva. In some places, it will be mentioned about Lord Vishnu as the Supreme also. But the highlight will be on Lord Shiva. So those who are in the mode of passion, they will take that. So in those, so these Puranas are given. Given means they are there. The Lord, they're eternally there. They're there for these different times to cater to the needs of people, because Vedas are all encompassing. They give everything for all time, for all people. Nothing is missing in the Vedas. Mahabharata is also part of the Vedas. Mahabharata is also part of the Vedas. So never ever uh, can we say that something which is given in Mahabharata is actually false, or it is, you know, it's not true. It cannot be. It is also eternal literature. So coming back to our story, when Shringi cursed, uh, so this whole thing why I was discussing, because this young Brahmana is telling the old Brahmana that come and make whatever you're saying. You want to give your daughter to me? Say this in front of the deity. Why? Because he's a Brahmana. When a Brahmana makes a statement, right? Brahminical culture means holding up, holding up the the values, holding up the values. So what is Brahminical culture? In Brahminical culture, Brahmanas are protected, cows are protected, dharma is protected. And if Brahmanas are not protected, and protection of Brahmanas means what? Simply protecting their body. Is that protection of Brahmanas? Protecting means protecting their dharma, their integrity. So when a Brahmana makes a statement, Brahmana's quality is his satyam, shaucham, right? He's truthful, he's clean, he's pure. So when a Brahmana, trained Brahmana, when he speaks something, that has to be true. And not everyone else also has to honor that. And if you don't honor that, and if he says something, and if it does not come true, the Brahminical culture is going to fall down. Without Brahminical culture, the whole society is going to go down. Therefore, Brahmanas and cows must be protected. They must be protected. So that story why I was telling you about Mahabharata. So we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, Shringi's curse was uh, so that uh, Srimad Bhagavatam could come, right? Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die within 7 days, and then after 7 days, Takshaka would come and bite him. But within these 7 days, Sukadeva Goswami would come and he would speak Srimad Bhagavatam, and as a result, all of us would get Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So this happened in a particular kalpa. This story happened in a particular kalpa, our kalpa. But in Mahabharata, we will see Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj, and after he got cursed, there also Parikshit Maharaj does not try to, rectify the situation or anything, but his ministers, they want to protect their king, so they build one building, Ekastambha Bhavana. That means Ekastambha means one pole or one pillar. There's a house, something like a tree house. They build a residence built on one pole. The idea is nobody should be able to enter into that house during these 7 days. Not Takshaka, not even air. Even air could not go without scrutinizing it. There it was so highly guarded, heavily guarded and protected to protect their king, so that this Takshaka is supposed to come and bite. We will not allow this Takshaka to come and bite Maharaj Parikshit. So Parikshit Maharaj was inside that house along with his ministers, and the only persons that were allowed to come inside were the sages. The sages had free entry. They could come and go. And the details of what exact, so we can only have those details of what Vyasdev has given in that. So we don't find any details of what exactly Parikshit Maharaj was doing those 7 days, that we don't have. And so we can, but then what is the whole purpose? The question may arise, what is the whole purpose of this curse? What is, because Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee, no doubt. Then what is the purpose of this curse? And then of course on the 7th day, this is very interesting, at sunset, so meanwhile there is this there is one person in that kingdom, in a faraway place within the kingdom. Parikshit Maharaj is the emperor, right? So the whole thing is his kingdom. But there is one Brahmana called Kashyapa. So Kashyapa was very expert in chanting mantras to counter a snake bite. So when he heard that Parikshit Maharaj is cursed to be bitten by Takshaka, he was actually poor, as Brahmanas are usually poor, right? But he was so poor that he couldn't even maintain his family properly. He was in need of some money, something like Dronacharya, right? Very, very qualified, but didn't even have milk to give milk to his small boy, like that. So he was in poverty, this Kashyapa Brahmana. So he wanted to go and first of all, he was certainly looking for some wealth, but at the same time, Parikshit Maharaj, such a nice emperor, he wanted to save him from this Takshaka snake bite. By chanting mantras, he could actually retrieve this poison and bring that person back to life. In fact, he even had the power to stop the snake from biting Parikshit Maharaj. So he was on his way to that house that was built for Parikshit Maharaj. And on the way, Takshaka meets him in disguise as a rishi. And he asks, "My dear Brahmana, where are?" Because Takshaka was on guard, waiting for an opportunity. When the time comes, he will go and bite. So he saw Kashyapa going towards that. He said, "Where are you going? Who are you?" So he's a Brahmana, he won't tell a lie. So he said, "My name is Kashyapa, and I am expert in chanting mantras to counter snake bites. I am going to, I heard that Parikshit Maharaj got cursed to be bitten by Takshaka. So I'm going to remove the poison of Takshaka and bring the king back to life." So this Takshaka laughed. You know why Shringi cursed? Why did he say Takshaka will bite? Do you know? Takshaka is the most venomous serpent. Most. The poison of Takshaka is most deadly. I mean, it can simply burn. The poison was so powerful, it could simply burn to ashes a person. Just burn that person to ashes. That's how powerful Takshaka's poison is. There's no way anyone can survive after he's bitten by Takshaka. So, that's why Shringi cursed that you will be bitten by Takshaka. So when Takshaka heard this Kashyapa Brahmana saying that uh, he's going to remove the poison of Takshaka, he laughed. "What are you saying? You can remove Takshaka's poison? There is no counter for Takshaka's poison anywhere. No mantra, nothing can do. You think you can remove Takshaka's poison?" So this Kashyapa stopped and he said, "Yes, I think I can remove Takshaka's poison also." So this Takshaka, he actually, this was like a challenge for him. He said, "All right." He just showed his real form. He is actually Takshaka. He was in disguise as a rishi, so he came back as Takshaka. Came in his real form. And he said, "I am Takshaka. Let me see your mantra shakti. What power is there in your mantra? Let us see it in real, right? How effective is your mantra?" So immediately Takshaka went to a big, huge banyan tree, and he just went and bit that banyan tree. Instantly, all the green, it was so nice and green, big, huge banyan tree. It just shriveled and it just burnt into ashes instantly, on spot, by the power of this Takshaka's poison. Now, Takshaka came back and he said, "Okay, you think you can bring this back to life?" So now Kashyap Muni went and he actually started to uh, chant his mantras. And out of those ashes, one small uh, seedling appeared, small seedling leaves. And
Like
instantly,
phoenix. Like
huh?
phoenix.
Like
Phoenix says it
phoenix.
comes from ashes.
Acha, okay, I don't know. And then instantly that small thing started growing and it grew into that big banyan tree to the shock of Takshaka. You know, this is an insult to Takshaka. Now, Takshaka, he simply had to see. Shringi cursed that Parikshit Maharaj should be cursed by Takshaka. Takshaka can do his job and go away. And afterwards, if somebody came and removed the poison and if Parikshit Maharaj is brought back to life, Takshaka has nothing to do with that, right? Right? He could have just, he did his job, but this was Takshaka's fault. So he took it as an insult because he had this pride. And there is no antidote to my poison. And when he saw that this person has the power to cut my poison, he took that as an insult. So therefore, he convinced this Kashyapa. He came back and he was amazed, and then he said, "Oh, my dear Kashyapa, tell me something. Why do you even want to go and save this Parikshit?" And then he said, uh, "I'm in need of money. And besides, Parikshit is a great emperor, and if he comes back to life, it's good for everyone." Then Takshaka said, "If it is just for money, I will give you more money than what Parikshit can give you. Why you have to waste your time going so far? Just turn around, take the money from me, you turn around and go back home." And regarding bringing Parikshit back to life, you know, Parikshit's lifespan is over. Even if you remove the poison from his body, still he is not going to live, because a person will only live for as long as he has lifeline, right? Once that is over, how much ever you do, whatever you do, he's not going to live. So Parikshit doesn't have any more life. This is all. Like, these are the last 7 days of his life. He cannot live for more than that. His time is finished. So even if you went there, you're not going to accomplish anything. Waste of time. And besides that, after you bring him back to life, I mean, after you remove the poison also, if the king doesn't live, who's going to pay you anything? Nobody will pay you anything. So waste of effort, no result also. But I will give you double the result, and you go back from here. No need to waste any energy. So Kashyapa, he was also, he's a very qualified Brahmana, of course. That's how he was able to counter Takshaka's effect. So he thought about it. He went into meditation and he saw it's true. Parikshit does not have more life. Then he considered the whole situation, his need, and he said, okay. He just took the money from the wealth from Takshaka and he went back without saying anything to anyone. So nobody even knew that this Kashyapa Brahmana existed and he could actually counter Takshaka's uh, snake bite. So this Takshaka, after making sure that any chances of uh, Parikshit's being saved are all removed, right? Then on the seventh day, he actually goes. So, anyway, to make the long story short, because we'll go over time if we just discuss the whole story. But in essence, on the seventh day, he ends up in in Parikshit Maharaj's residence in that house. And how he goes there, he actually goes. He calls Takshaka is also Kadru's son. So he calls his brothers other snakes and disguises them all as sages, because sages are allowed to go inside. And they all take fruit as gift to Parikshit Maharaj. So sages are allowed to go inside, and on one of those fruits, and like a small worm, Takshak is sitting. And then this is like sunset, right? Just before sunset on the seventh day. So now 7 days are over. Parikshit Maharaj is fully prepared. He's ready to uh, leave his body. He's not fearful that, oh, I have to die, what will happen? No, he's prepared. So when the sages come, he welcomes them, and then they bring him fruit. So he gives one fruit. Accepts the gift of the sages, and he gives one fruit to each of his ministers. He distributes all the fruit, and then there's one fruit for him. He picks up that fruit, and that is the fruit on which Takshaka is there in the form of a small worm. And Parikshit Maharaj is now the sun has set and is looking at the fruit, and he sees this small copper colored worm, very small, and it had black eyes. That's the color of Takshaka, by the way. Little worm. And Parikshit Maharaj is looking at the fruit and looking at that worm, and then he picks up that worm, puts in his hand, and he says, the Brahmana boy, Shringi, has cursed me to die on the seventh day from that curse. And now 7 days have completed. It is sunset. So now let this worm turn into Takshaka and kill me. And immediately, in the presence of all the ministers, this Takshaka, which was actually, he puts it on his shoulder. He puts this worm on his shoulder and he says, let this worm become Takshaka and kill me. He's inspired by the Lord, right? And then that worm all of a sudden grows big, huge, becomes a gigantic serpent, Takshaka. So fierce, so deadly that all the ministers who were there guarding Parikshit Maharaj to protect him. You can imagine all this preparation was for this final moment when the enemy is expected any time. So they must be fully on guard, isn't it? But when they saw Takshaka, they actually started fleeing here and there. They couldn't handle it. It was so fierce. And that Takshaka just wrapped around Parikshit Maharaj and bit him. And immediately Parikshit Maharaj uh, fell down and burnt by Takshaka's poison. And Takshaka flies out of the window, I guess. He just flies out of that house and goes into the sky very swiftly. And because he's copper colored, he looked like a copper, lightning going in the sky. He escapes. So, this is the story of how Parikshit Maharaj leaves his body that is given in Mahabharata. So, what is the lesson here in Mahabharata? Why was Parikshit Maharaj cursed? We don't hear anything about Sukadeva Goswami coming, or we don't see about Srimad Bhagavatam. So then the lesson that is to be learned from this story is Parikshit Maharaj wanted to keep the Brahmana's word. He wanted the Brahmana's word to come true. Why? Because if the Brahmana's word becomes false, then the Brahminical culture will fall, and with the dwindling of Brahminical culture, the whole society is going to be degraded. This is the lesson. So the Brahmana's words coming true is not just his responsibility, it is also the responsibility of everyone else's around him to make sure that Brahmana's words are always true. So when a Brahmana says something, it must come true, right? That's why I told you this story. So coming back to our Chaitanya Charitamrita, this young Brahmana told the old Brahmana is saying, I'll give you my daughter. So the young Brahmana said, okay, then you say this in front of Krishna. Why? When he said something, that is a Brahmana statement, this young Brahmana is just making sure that his statement will not become false. Because if his statement becomes false, how it will become false? As anticipated, he gave the example of Bhishmaka. When he goes home, his family members, his relatives, they will all say, no, no, how you can marry our daughter to that poor man? We will not accept it. Wife will say, I will commit suicide, I'll go drown myself in the Ganga if you do this. And, under pressure, the Brahmana, even after making this statement, he may go back on his word, not knowing what to do, isn't it? But then Brahmana's word is becoming false, which is not good. Not good just for him, but for the whole society. Boond boond se sagar bharta hai, they say, right? Like every drop makes for the ocean. So every person, every Brahmana has to be protected. His word has to be protected. His dharma has to be protected. So this young Brahmana said, if you have actually made up your, so he didn't say that you must give your daughter to me. He's not trying to, you know, what's the word, frame the Brahmana, right? That, or, force him to give his daughter to me and, tie him up from all sides. Now you have promised you have to give your daughter. No, he first of all tried to explain to him, no, don't make this promise, don't give your daughter to me. He tried to say that, right? Don't give, because it's not going to happen. He tried to convince him. Only when the Brahmana was insistent, the older Brahmana was insistent, I am going to give my daughter to you. I have made up my mind. It does not matter what my family members or relatives say. I will give my daughter to you. When he said that, that's when he said, all right, if you are so sure about this, now you come and make a promise in front of Krishna. Say the same thing in front of the deity. And then after he said in front of the deity, so the idea is when you say something in front of the deity, then the deity takes that responsibility also. Besides, you yourself will also feel they have fear. So Srila Prabhupada explains that in the purport. In villages, when there is some disagreement between people, they go to the temple and in front of the deity, they take a vow. Whatever I'm saying, it's the truth. It's like this. And then whatever has been decided there, they accept. This has been decided by the deity, they accept it. So they make the deity the judge there, right? So whatever has been decided there in the presence of the deity, everyone will accept. Nobody will have any problems with that.
Like
So
Bhagavad Gita, like in the court also, they have to touch Bhagavad Gita to give.
exactly like that. So that's why this Brahmana said that you say now this Brahmana will have this. Even he is under pressure, he will have this fear. Oh, I said it in front of the deity. I cannot go back. So he won't be able to go back on his word so easily. This will be an additional, you know, uh, protection for his word, right? Out of temptation or out of pressure, out of fear, he wouldn't be able to go back on his word so easily. So this is for this reason the young Brahmana says that come and say it in front of Krishna. So uh, so this is where I think we stopped. The young Brahmana said, if you have decided to give your daughter to me, then say so before the deity. And then we have to read here today. Anyway, we'll read a couple of verses. Gopalera age vipra kohite lagilo tumi jano nija kanya ihare ami dilo. So now uh, this older Brahmana said in front of Gopal, my dear deity, please hear. I have decided, I am promising to give my daughter to this young Brahmana, right? My dear Lord, please witness that I have given my daughter to this boy. Yeah, purport. Yeah, this also we read yesterday. Yeah, how they make a word, right? The father just gives a word that now we discussed how even when when children are still young, they decide, oh, she's going to be his wife by word, and then when they grow up, actual marriage takes place. And sometimes marriage also takes place when they are young, but then later on they live together when they grow up. But the point is, by word you can actually make an agreement of marriage simply by word of mouth. You can do that. So this is called Vag Datta. So that's what this older Brahmana did. He gave his daughter to this young Brahmana in front of the deity. That means it's as good as he's already done the Kanyadan. Chota Vipra bole Thakur tumi mora sakshi, toma sakshi bolaimu jadi anyatha dekhi. So the young Brahmana said, my dear Krishna, my dear Lord, you are my witness that this person has given his daughter to me. I am going to call you as witness if it happens otherwise, that his daughter is mine, right? He said he will marry his daughter to me. If that's not going to happen, or if there's any obstacles in that, I'm going to call on you as a witness. Then the younger Brahmana addressed the deity saying, my dear Lord, you are my witness. I shall call for you to testify if it is necessary later on. एता बोली दुई जने चलिला देशे रे guru buddhe chota vipra bahu seva kore. So saying this, after saying this, right, now they finished their pilgrimage. They started to go back to their particular desh. Where did they come from? Vidyanagar in South India. So they started going back to their village. Guru buddhe chota vipra bahu seva kore. So he was rendering great service to this older Brahmana as if treating him like a guru, right? So again, we discussed about that also, that serving the elders, and what to speak of the elder is a Vaishnava. So the way you would worship your guru, that's how you should worship and serve the elderly, right? And what to speak of the elderly are Vaishnavas, right? So this young Brahmana was serving this older Brahmana even on the way back, just like he would serve his guru. After these talks, the two Brahmanas started for home as usual. The young, as usual, not that now because he promised to give his daughter, so he's doing extra service. No, as usual. He was doing it even before that. As usual, the young Brahmana accompanied the elder Brahmana as if the older Brahmana were a guru, spiritual master, and rendered him service in various ways. देशे आसी दुई जने गेला निज घरे कोतो दिने बड़ो विप्र चिंतिता अंतरे. So now after they returned to their village, both the Brahmanas went to their respective homes. Older Brahmana went to his house, younger Brahmana went to his home, and many days passed or some days passed. And meanwhile this Bada Vipra, the older Brahmana, was thinking within his heart, right? Oh, I have promised to give my daughter to this young Brahmana. I have to break this news to my family members. I didn't tell them yet. I have to do something like that. So this anxiety in his heart was building. देशे आसी दुई जने गेला निज घरे कतो दिने बड़ो विप्र चिंतिता अंतरे. He was anxious within his heart. After returning to Vidyanagar, each Brahmana went to his respective home. After some time, the elderly Brahmana became very anxious. तीर्थे विप्रे वाक्य दिलुम केमते सत्य होय स्त्री पुत्र ज्ञाति बंधु जानिबे निश्चय. So now he's thinking with his heart, तीर्थे विप्रे वाक्य दिलुम, I gave my word during the pilgrimage, I gave my word to this Brahmana. Kemate satya hoy, how is this going to be true? At that time he didn't think how it's going to be true. Even the young Brahmana was telling him, it's not going to be true. Don't say this, right? He tried, but he was in. He said, no, I have to give. He wanted to actually. Even now he wants to. But see, what we want to do is one thing, and what we are actually able to do, how to execute, is a different thing, right? That's called integrity. Integrity means whatever you believe in, to actually make it happen in reality. That is integrity. The values that we hold up, to actually live by those values, right? So this Brahmana was in great anxiety, and he's thinking that I have promised to give my daughter to this young Brahmana during that pilgrimage. How are my words going to come true? How am I going to execute this? Stri putra gyati bandhu janibe nischay, right? Uh, they will all He began to think, I have given my word to a Brahmana in a holy place, and what I promised will certainly come to pass. I must now disclose this to my wife, sons, other relatives, and friends. Janibe, I must tell them, right? Certainly, I must tell them. Or I should make them known, right? They should know. They should also come to know of my promise to this young Brahmana before it becomes too late. Days are passing by, I have not informed them yet. Uh, my wife, my sons, my relatives, friends, they should all know what I have uh, decided. Yeah, I must disclose it to them. There's no doubts in his mind about, oh, why did I promise? That was not the concern. Certainly it will happen. It should happen. Just the point is, I haven't told them yet. I better tell them soon. एकदिन निज लोक एकत्र कोरिला तासबारा आगे सभा वृत्तांत कोहिला. Finally one day he gathered all his family members, nija loka, right? He gathered all his relatives, family members, and then in that assembly he called for a meeting, right, like Ishtagoshti. And then in amidst all of them, he narrated to them the whole history, right? What happened when he went on pilgrimage, and how he promised to give this young Brahmana his daughter. He told everything. Thus, one day the elderly Brahmana called for a meeting of all his relatives and friends, and before them all, he narrated what had taken place in front of Gopal. শুনি সভা গোষ্ঠী তারা করে হাহাকার আইছে আইছে বাত মুখে তুমি না আনিবে আর when they heard finally when he said, so I have promised to give him uh, my daughter, and I promised in front of Gopal. I told Gopal that I am promising to today I have given my daughter to this. As soon as the family members heard this, hahakar, oh my God, what has happened? What is it? No, impossible. This cannot happen. Don't even utter this word again. Aiche baat mukhe tumi na anibe ar. Don't let these words come on your lips again. That was the reaction from the family members. When those who belonged to the family circle heard the narration of the old Brahmana, they made exclamations showing their disappointment. They all requested that he not make such a proposal again. I think I'll stop here so that I will also catch up with Mangalarti. But
That
thank you so
proposal is
much.
already done. Why will he make again?
Mataji, what did you say?
That proposal is already done. They are saying don't make the proposal
No, but
again.
it is so displeasing to the ears that we cannot handle hearing it again. Don't even utter it.
When
Hare
they have
Krishna.
money, they should give the money and make the boy, because the boy is nice, genuinely nice. The only thing is the money. They could have given and, made both everyone happy.
You should have been with them at that time to counsel them.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna Mataji.
Avinita.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.